Now I have to check as usual that the sound is okay because like that's a nightmare. So hopefully somebody will say in the chat if there is any kind of problem with the
Ah, we're
sound. Now I
live.
have to check as usual that the sound is okay because yeah, the sound seems alright. Archie, speak. Hopefully somebody will say in the chat
Testing
if
one,
there's any
two.
kind of problem.
Testing one, two. Sounds
Hello.
good
We're
to
live. I
me.
have to check as usual that the sound is okay because yeah, the sound seems alright. Archie, speak. Hopefully somebody will say in the chat.
Testing one.
Yeah, it seems like we're good.
Does someone have it on their screen?
I
Is
have
that you,
it.
Brad? Because I think we can hear it through
Oh
your
yeah.
screen a little.
Yeah, that
Right.
was me. Yeah.
No, I think in my. Wait a second. I'm sorry.
That's all right. We just have to, if you have it, if you're watching it, you'll have to mute it.
Mute it. Yeah.
Done. Okay.
All
I'm just
good.
trying. I'm just trying to make sure everybody's in the window. Yeah, there we go. All right. I'm so slick and professional at this, you know. I'm like,
It looks quite good.
yeah, it's really not bad. All right,
Looks
so
good.
we have 10 people watching. Hello, 10 people. Identify yourselves, please. Reveal yourselves. Maybe you can leave us a comment and a hello in the chat, and a question or two would be nice. So we have here that I'm going to try to speak as little as possible. We have Archie, my partner in crime. I don't really know what to call him, but you all know Archie. And we have four of our prize winners from the orchestral category of our Score Relief scoring competition that we ran in January. For anybody who's not familiar with that, it's something that we run every winter, and it's a free scoring contest with a charity fundraiser alongside, and we try to support a wonderful charity. We've done two so far, and we've raised over $15,000 in total over the two contests, and we've had thousands and thousands of composers taking part. We've had two wonderful animations which you can access on our library if you want to use them. I said I'm not going to talk very much. Archie, take over, please. So yeah, we've had two contests, two beautiful animations from Blender Studios, and you can access those from our library free of charge if you want to use them for practice and to put into your portfolio. And so these guys were the winners this year for the animated category, and Philip, the prize that he received was to have his music performed by Northern Film Orchestra, which was, I was lucky enough to be there. Archie was there too.
It was great. It was such an amazing performance.
And
And
that
it was
was
fun
cool.
to just watch how the orchestra, go about a recording session in the day. Yeah, that was good.
That really was amazing. I watched it last year remotely, like online sort of thing, and that was mind blowing. But to be there in person in the room, Philip, maybe you want to start and just tell us a little few minutes about how that experience was with the orchestra in Manchester.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really express my feelings about that. I mean, it was really, really great. It was mind-blowing how they could perform that math that I composed in like 1 hour and make it perfect. I mean, you watched it as well. It was like the first try they walked through was like meh, and then they kept refining it, and by the end it was like almost perfect. So yeah, it was really astonishing and really fun to watch that. And I mean, I can only dream of like having performed my music a second time and having this dream come true one time. It was really great.
Yeah. And I mean, the performance is now available on our YouTube channel if anybody wants to review that. But it really is a wonderful it's a wonderful piece of music, of course, Philip. But it's also a wonderful performance by the orchestra. So shout out to Jack and Simeon and the guys at Northern Film Orchestra. It's the second time that we've worked with them, and yeah, it's been wonderful both times. So this year we had two composers that won that prize. Pavel unfortunately can't join us today because of a family birthday or something. I forget what it was. So we have Philip, and last year we had Dennis, who won the spring competition, and that was also so he was able to communicate with the orchestra session remotely. So that's an option. I'm not really here to promote Northern Film Orchestra, but if you are looking to work with an orchestra, they can work with you remotely. You don't have to travel to Manchester necessarily to work with them. So maybe we can go around the other guys.
But it is worth it. It is worth it to travel there.
Yeah, it's definitely good if you can do it. I'm aware that my face is quite red, and I apologise. I've been up a mountain today, and I've literally just come back. So yeah, I apologise for that. So maybe we can go around and quickly introduce the other guys, and you can tell us a little bit about yourselves and where you are, and anything you like, and maybe about the prizes that you received, perhaps from Score Relief, and whether you've been able to do much with them, how they were. So I'm not going to go in any particular order. And I'm going to say hello to two people that have identified themselves as watching us. That's Thomas. Hi, Thomas. And Ibrahim. Hello, Ibrahim. Thanks for joining us. So, Robert, I'll start with you. Give us a little snapshot.
Well, I'm a composer out in Atlanta, Georgia. Been doing this professionally for 3 years now. This is, I guess, my second competition that I've won or gotten a placement in.
Right.
So it was pretty cool, and definitely my favorite competition so far.
Oh.
I love animated films. So it was a challenge, but it was one of those fun challenges where you kind of just you push on through, and every moment is exciting. The vast majority of the libraries in there are just from East West. So shout out to East West.
Yeah.
And then the Metro Arc bundle that I got for third place was crazy. It adds so much depth to what I have access to.
Right.
And I think it was just a great opportunity. And
so you'll be using that in the next competition.
Amazing.
So Robert, what was the other competition that you placed in?
This was the Music Cosmos competition.
Oh yeah.
Back in 2021.
Right. Cool. And was that based on an animation as well? Yeah.
That was it was a art film. I don't know how to describe it. It was kind of like
abstract kind of.
Abstract, yeah.
Yeah, like motion graphics, yeah.
Yeah. It was cool.
All right. Well, I'll come back to you with some more questions about your particular, each of you, about your particular piece of music. At this stage, I'd just like a general introduction, really, and a snapshot of each person. Pablo, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi. Hello. I don't normally do a lot of competitions, but when I saw the film that we had to score, I jumped into it right away because like Robert said, I love animation too, and I think it's a perfect opportunity, for us composers to express ourselves in all ranges possible. So that was a big point for the competition, and I loved it. And the prizes were amazing too. The Miroir library from Orchestral Tools is amazing. It sounds really great. And the guys at Think Space Education were super nice. They helped me a lot with choosing the right course, the right course for me. So that was great.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear a little. I'd be interested to hear a little bit more about that in a minute. So I'll come back to you on that if I can remember. Archie, if I forget, remind me. Maxime seems to have hopefully temporarily disappeared. So Philip, do you want to just quickly remind everyone about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing composition now for I think 4 years or so. And yeah, as the other said, I mean, I love the animation. It's always fun to do that.
Yeah.
I initially caught up with the QTube with the what was it, the spring scoring competition?
Yeah.
And that was my first and now I did my second, and yeah, the prizes were amazing as well. I mean, I talked with you, Brian, about the prizes, and we were able to change the price to the to Abbey Road 1 from Spitfire Audio, and
Yeah.
I'm using that really heavily on my upcoming album, and so that was really, really great
Wow,
to
that's great.
receive that as a prize.
Don't tell everyone that I changed the prize,
And
because
I mean,
everybody will want to change their prizes, you know.
oh, I'm sorry. No, we were in contact with Spitfire, and they were really kind. So it is not Brian's fault.
Shout out to Spitfire.
Yeah, shout out to Spitfire. They were really,
I mean,
really kind.
all the companies were really generous with their prizes, weren't
Yeah.
they? Like everyone wanted to throw their prizes at, like throw their libraries at Score Relief, which is really cool. So
Yeah, it was
there was so
amazing.
much for people to win, basically. Yeah.
It was a lot of prizes. I mean, it was like, I forget how many now. It might have been as many as like 40 prizes in total. You know, it was insane. Yeah, it was great. I would give a shout out to all of those companies, but it's too many.
Yeah.
But yeah, Philip, I remember when so Philip and I had a nice beer in Manchester after the session, and I seem to remember your hair was slightly longer.
Yeah, I cut that off during like, I mean, the first time I cut it off, it was like in June, I think. And now we're in holiday here, and my brother was there as well, and we like said, yeah, okay, let's cut it off as another time. And a friend of ours did it the same, so yeah, it was just a fun decision.
Cool. There's one thing I want to just tell everyone is that because I think it's an important feature of the QTube community, really, is that it really is sort of global. And here we have a great example, because we have Robert in Atlanta, Georgia. We have Philip somewhere in Germany, I'm assuming, yeah?
I'm in Denmark at the moment, but yeah, only for holiday.
In Denmark.
Normally in Germany.
There we are. And we have Pablo in Italy, but from Spain. So, and we have Archie in London and myself somewhere else. So, yeah, it's a wonderful thing, you know, to speak with all of you guys from different countries and different time zones. And to see those entries coming in, you know, from all around the world for the competitions is fantastic. Archie, do you want to jump in with a question?
Well, I was just going to ask you, like, you guys individually about how the process of composing was, like composing for the animation, like how you went about it. You know, did you do any spotting or anything, or like, did you work from a template, or like how long it took, and you know what the biggest challenges were in like creating your piece, your pieces? Yeah.
If you remember.
Yeah. Should we start with Robert?
Yeah. Do you remember much about the process, Robert?
I'm remembering the important bits. Basically the template that I got, or that I was using for the project, came from a project that I did previously in December. It was basically just a mock-up of some John Williams stuff. And I just deleted everything and then used that as the template.
Oh, right.
And I remember I just did the story beats. So I was marking key moments in my DAW. And then every day that I'd be going to school, I'd be listening to animated film scores that I felt kind of had the same vibe. And then I would just pick up on ideas here and there, motifs, or I'd be just humming along for an hour or two. And then I go home, hash out my ideas. And so that was pretty much my process. After a while, I stopped listening to music and I just stayed up until 4. You know how it is.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, if you can remember and if you could guesstimate, how many hours do you reckon you spent on creating your piece?
Actually composing, maybe 20. If we're including like
Thinking,
sitting there, just arms folded, listening to some music, temp tracks, then maybe closer to 30.
That's interesting to compare, actually. Let's go around the group. So, Pablo, do you remember approximately how many hours you might have spent creating your piece?
Can you hear me? Yes. I'm so sorry, but I don't remember that at all. I mean, that's not a thing I think about ever. So I really don't know. And on the other hand, if I had to to assess the amount of time that I keep thinking on a project while I'm working on it, I mean, I would have to count the whole day, even when I'm sleeping, because that's really how it works at least for me.
Yeah.
So it's the only thing is that I learned a little late about the competition, and I only had like 2 weeks to do it, so limited a little bit, and I had other ongoing projects at the same time.
Right.
So that limited the amount of time I could dedicate to this. But
maybe that's a good thing, you know.
Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Maxime, do you happen to remember approximately how many hours you might have spent creating your piece?
No, I don't have any idea, but usually I take quite some time to wait and listen again later, because when you're too much into it, you spend time in an idea, and then you listen like the day after, and wow, that's not great. So really, when I don't know, I could do few hours on it, and then even less, and then I'm stopping. Even sometimes just 10 minutes, I'm stopping, I'm, watching a little bit too much of YouTube, and then going again on it, and okay, that sounds good, or no, it's not the right direction. So that takes me a little bit of time, but I think for me, it's maybe worth it to, not going too much into it, but that's really personal. So, but yeah, no, I don't know, but I try, even if it's a competition and we can have a lot of time. It depends on when you get into it. I try to fix a deadline, like to say, okay, I will take 5 days or 10 days, but not more. I have to, because then you're always dwelling on it and, thinking, oh, maybe I can, it could be never ending. So I try to fix some deadline.
Yeah.
And Philip, do you have any idea how long it took for you to create your winning piece?
I was really on a time concern. I think it was 2 or 3 days actually, because I was again at holiday before I even started before I saw that you posted the competition, and I was doing part of my work at holiday in my house, in our house in Denmark, and then I returned to home and finished the project there, and it was like a really short amount of time, which is unusual because I normally need a lot of time to get into the film and to think a lot about my music. But that time it was really straightforward, and I initially said to my girlfriend that I wouldn't do that competition because it was like such a short amount of time, and one day I just it snapped in my head, and I was like going there and composing for 2 to 3 days straight, and coming to bed late in the night, and it's paid off in the end, which is really cool.
Well, I it's so interesting to see everyone's approach, because like Pablo was saying as well, sometimes you just really don't even think about how much time you're spending doing something, and you might start writing some music for a film at 9 a.m, get up, start writing some music, and suddenly you haven't eaten all day because you've been and it's 7 p.m. because you've been sat there all day and you're just so in the zone. But like Maxime was saying as well, it is important to take those breaks, and sometimes that whole almost 12 hours of sat down working can end up kind of rubbish because you haven't taken a break, and you listen to it back the next day and you think, oh God, why did I spend so much time just sat in front of the computer, but yeah, it's interesting to see everyone's approaches, definitely.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to continue the question around the group, Archie, that you...
Yeah. Is there anything that you guys would have done differently on a second approach to it? I know that you guys had to, like, because the idea that it was going to be performed by an orchestra, you obviously had to compose to orchestra. But had you approached the film without that in mind, would you have like done different things in your writing? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question actually. Did it sort of influence your writing, the fact that you knew that the prize was the orchestra kind of thing?
Let's go for Robert again.
I'm thinking about it. I would say yes, it definitely influenced what I was going for. But even still, I ended up using extra means like the whistles and then a tin whistle, and then a really whack trumpet. But it did influence. Would I do anything differently? Yes, I would probably try to keep it within the realm of a traditional orchestra. Because I do feel like that little Sprite theme kind of pulled towards the Smurfs a little bit too much. So
It's hard
I would
not to,
I would pull away from that. Give it a second chance.
Get away from the Smurfs.
Yeah, but that's what I would do.
Is there anybody else who sort of thought afterwards about a different approach that they might have taken?
Yeah, actually, for every project that I do, I make kind of an autopsy of the corpse once it's done. So I actually have a lot of ideas after the project is finished.
Yeah.
But maybe the two main things would be probably I would do as actually it's fun. It's funny because what Robert has said is exactly what I was saying about mine. That I would adopt maybe a little bit more. I would focus on the perspective of the protagonist as she discovers the village instead of emphasizing the quirkiness of it and the comedic part of it. And then I would like to do a first scene, that would be a little more fun, like Pavel, the second prize, did a nice bassoon solo there. I really like that, and those would be my two main things.
Interesting. Yeah.
So do you mean that you might have made it a bit lighter and playful in some way?
At the beginning, yes, a little more defined in what, in the mood, in the sense that, now, in my opinion, it's a little unprecise emotionally. And I would love to have gone a little bit more into the fun side of it, just showing what the film is going to be about, even if that a tease at the end, but that's what I meant exactly. Yes.
Okay, great. Anybody else got any thoughts about how they might?
I would have said no because I was fortunate enough to be in the 5 first. So that would be one of my questions. Because I know there are a lot of composition worthy to be, in the 5 first, but in a contest at some point, someone preferred something. So I would be interesting to know why, but maybe because I listened to all the 4 first contest, film scoring. That were great, like really good, and when I was listening to Philip's composition, the theme was always there, and I think maybe maybe I could have tried to put a theme more obvious alongside. But again, I think lucky enough to be here, so I would say no.
I guess, if you win a prize, then you have to sort of say, well, yeah, I did a good job, and be fairly satisfied. But it's quite interesting, especially that question about if there hadn't been the orchestra thing?
Oh yeah, that is a great question. I think that is really a great question. I think I would have gone for the full orchestra, the ambience and the animated film. So I have my template, I use usually for this case. So it was, I had just to open it and then into it. And maybe sometimes it could, just put you a frame, and instead of just do what you want, that's always sometimes the worst thing that someone could ask for a composer. That, do what you want. You maybe have some ideas you'd like to, to hear. So I think that was a good frame, but I would have gone it for it anyway.
I mean, a few of you, by the way, a question that occurs to me. I mean, I'm sorry I'm going a little bit off-piste sometimes with the questions and being a bit more spontaneous, but, you mentioned, a couple of you, that you were really attracted by the animation, and I wondered whether you thought that was a universal thing, and that if Score Relief was a competition with a film that was not an animation, for example, do you think it would be less attractive for people, or do you think that's not necessarily the case? What would you say?
Well, I think sorry, Pablo.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
Okay, I think a normal shot film, I don't know how to call it really, is much more difficult to score than in animation. In animation, you can do really abrupt mood switches, and it's sort of forgiving with that. So you can jump from really, really happy straight to really sad, and then to really quirky, and you can switch that up really, really heavily. And in a normal film, you cannot do that really. You have to keep a more overall arc over your music, and it cannot change that abrupt. Right. I mean, you can see it with the competitions by Spitfire Audio, which they host. I mean, they had Westworld, they had their Stargirl competition, and now Bridgerton. Yeah. And you just have to keep going on a bigger scale and not jump around with these, and you can do with these animations. So I think that is really forgiving and makes it a little bit easier to score these animations, but also for some people, I mean, a little bit harder, maybe. So, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Anybody else? Pablo, you wanted to say
something? Yeah, to be quite honest, for me, it depends on the genre of the film you would put, actually. Because the genres that you can that you can have with animation are very musical, like I said at the beginning, and that affords certain possibilities that you don't have in many contemporary live action films. So it depends, but the animation certainly, at least for me, helped a lot to definitely participate in the competition. Yeah,
right.
I mean, there's a lot of competitions I would never do because it's not the kind of music I want to do, and I'm
So, for you guys, as people looking at competitions, perhaps the prizes are is it what's more interesting? Is it the actual material, or is it the prizes, or is it the profile of the competition? What's the most important aspect of the competition? The judges maybe are an important aspect of the competition. Is my music going to get heard by somebody important? Maybe that's an important aspect of the competition.
I think for me, the most important thing is having access to such high quality content to score. Right. Because in a normal situation, you're competing with dozens of other composers to even get a contract of that kind of quality. And so for me, when I see something like Sprite Fright or last year's competition, Spring, it's just the quality of the film, the voice, sound effects, just everything combined makes the film so high quality, and that is really attractive to me. Right. Because that just makes my job easier. Okay. So that's why I would like to do this competition.
That's
I
really
think, yeah, that's a good point to mention. Also, that's a good time to mention the fact that we're making a film, the QTube are making a film that can be donated to, and we're participating with 401s. We're partnering with 401s Productions, who make amazing high quality films. They made I Catch You for the competition as well, and that's going to be something that will be on the QTube library, that people will be able to, score a highly produced like film, the kind of standard that you would see on TV or in the cinema,
Yeah,
I just thought that was a good time to mention that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a good time for anybody who doesn't really know what the QTube is to mention that we have this really incredible library of clips that people can download for free to practice with, to use in your portfolio, completely legal. No issues with, they're not pirated or anything. They've got all the sound effects and dialogue and everything in place. And we make some of our own clips as well. We've got an amazing one coming quite soon, actually, which we're going to present in a new way. So it's going to be a 4-composer little kind of challenge thing. They're going to each approach the clip. We're going to show you what they've done, and then we're going to make the same clip available to everybody. So we're taking different approaches, but we have this really fantastic library. And the film that we're producing with 4 of Wands, which we're running a Kickstarter for at the moment, everybody, Kickstarter. We are going to take a segment of that film to be the basis of the next score relief, which is why I'm very interested in, like, for you as composers, which aspects of the competition are the most important, and sort of like, how do you feel about animation versus live action? And like, is there a danger that we're going to make score relief less interesting, for example, if it's a live action clip? It kind of interesting to know how people might respond to that. Any thoughts or comments on any of that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about the competition is, the prizes are obviously a thing, but the biggest thing is also the process. Being able to score such a high quality clip and the process behind that, to get used to this process. I had to learn like how to sync up your the time code, because I never had the problem before, and then somebody said to me, "Oh, your time code is off," and I realized, oh, my time code management was just bullshit, and I need to learn that and find. And in another project after that, I did that completely right from the get-go, because I know fixing that in post is really, really hard. And so that was a big thing for me. And you only get used to these principles and get used to doing these things if you do them, and not if you read about them and such things. You just forget them if you just watch a YouTube tutorial showing you how to score this and that clip. So being able to work on these clips is another huge point for me.
That's really cool. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. The issue with the time code, was that when you started to work with the orchestra that it became a problem?
Yeah, absolutely. I was like starting at a tempo of 70.62 in my project, and I had like 3 bars of rest before my music actually started, and so my time code was completely off when I started the project, and it was not syncing up with Simeon, so we had to like replicate it and shift the film before forwards and backwards to make sure everything lined up perfectly. And I could not fix that in post, because I was trying, but it wouldn't work. So that was really frustrating, and really I should have done that better from the get-go.
But I guess that the guys from NFO, they helped you a lot with that kind of stuff, yeah?
Absolutely. That was really great, and Simeon like figured it out in minutes what was wrong with me. So
yeah. I should mention to people that are watching that don't be intimidated if you're a new composer. Don't think that you have to know everything about time code or anything like that. You don't have to necessarily know how an orchestra works. Just take part in the competition. You're going to learn a lot. And if you win, the orchestra will work with you very closely to make sure that your piece of music works with the orchestra. So yeah, we really welcome people that are maybe scoring a piece of film for the first time in their life. You know, that's what it's all about. Okay, the time really races with these things, doesn't it? You know, it's already 35 minutes. I want to kind of move away a little bit from talking about Score Relief and like as though we're advertising Score Relief here, which is not really the point. And I want to talk about you guys and your journey a little bit. And one question I have is whether, you know, and don't feel that you have to give me what you think I'm wanting to hear. I'm just really interested whether the exposure from Score Relief has been in any way helpful. Has it opened any doors or made any useful connections for you? Or is it just a nice thing to say, hey, I won a prize in Score Relief and I've got these libraries? Or has it actually sort of made any kind of difference in any way? For anybody? No? It hasn't?
At the moment, it's an additional tag on my resume.
Something nice on the resume, yeah.
In terms of doors, it's open like directly, none. But it does serve to add credibility and like just to show that you know, or at least you can handle somebody else's budget.
So you don't think it's kind of helped you to win any gigs or any jobs or anything?
So far, no. But I'm not saying it's not ever going to do that. Because in my experience, you know, starting out, it's going to take a while for any of these doors to actually open.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it'll open some doors down the line, but currently none so far.
And what about things like getting more people listening to your stuff on your YouTube channel or something? Do you think there's been any uptick in traffic?
Yeah, for me, definitely. It doubled my subscribers.
Okay.
So in terms of YouTube traffic, yes.
So that's a bit of a kind of result, if you like, yeah. Anybody else experienced any sort of impact from?
If I may give you my opinion, I don't think that a direct impact is the most important thing you are looking for.
Sure.
When you do such a competition, you know, the fact to be working and the process, like Philip said, and also the fact of having to have the discipline to write for an actual orchestra. And all those things combined, and working with very good material, video material, all those things combined, add up to your craft. And I think, at least for me, that's the most important thing. You know, that the quality in general rises slowly but steadily, and that's the main point of these kinds of competition for me. Yeah. And the fact that the orchestra is so good and you know that they are going to play perfectly what you have written, that's also very important.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I think that's really important. And I always try to say to people that you win just by taking part because you learn from the process, you know, which sounds a bit, it can sound a bit strange to say that, but I think it's I really believe that.
Yeah, no.
And you learn also from hearing how different people have approached the same clip as well, I think. We have a question from the audience. This is exciting. And this is something I wanted to move on to in moving away from Score Relief, really. It's, what are you guys working on at the moment? There we go, a great question. Let's start with someone else this time. Let's start with Maxime.
Sorry, what was the question?
What are you guys working on right now?
Right now, I mostly have sound design project and not much musical projects. So it's always, depending. So yeah, right now, I did also the Bridgerton, I think like a few, the Spitfire, just same. I tried to took one day top and, deadlines. But yeah, these weeks, not much composition. That was mostly sound design for me.
Okay. Philip, what are you working on right now?
Yeah, I'm finishing, as I mentioned, my album, which is going to be released shortly, and I'm really hoping to find an orchestra who wants to play this album, but I'm not sure if that works. But yeah, at least I'm trying, and I'm preparing some more stuff for my YouTube channel to like finish that. But yeah, I mean, that's really everything I'm doing at the moment. The album got a really big work over like 2 to 3 months ago. So it's a pretty long album. It's like 45 minutes long. So yeah, it was a lot of work, and that took like everything of my time, and like university is going along the way, and yeah. That's everything.
That's great. Well, good luck with finishing the album. I'm looking forward to hearing that, and perhaps we can, share some of it when it's ready. That would be cool. Yeah.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be cool. Pablo, are you working on much at the moment?
Oh yeah, actually, I'm quite exhausted actually. But yeah. I'm working on several things. Some are in the really pre-production, but I always keep everything open so no idea gets lost. But what I'm producing right now in terms of writing the music down is an animation project for an Irish animation studio. And another one for that same studio too. Then I'm working also on another animation short for a Brazilian studio, and I'll be doing in the next month also a film with an American director I usually work with. I've been working with for years now. Yeah, it's everything. It's a little interesting. But it's nice. It's nice.
That sounds great. Well, I hope that you don't feel too exhausted, and you find.
Oh, it's my default mode of being, so I'm fine with it.
And Robert, what's going on for you right now?
I got a few things moving around. One audiobook that I'm scoring or doing the music for. I have a contract right now that I can't really talk too much about, but it's taking up most of my time.
Yeah.
And then next month, I'll be sending some music off to Budapest for a collaboration with another composer.
Wow.
And so we're wrapping up the process now. I think we're pretty much done. We just got to send the music.
Wow, that's great. So are you going to take a trip over?
No, I'm neck deep in school right now, so can't really sacrifice too much time.
Where are you at school?
It's this university called Kennesaw State down in Georgia.
Okay.
And
what is it that you're doing? Is it like what exactly are you studying?
As my major, I'm studying marketing. I'm also taking a certificate program in music entertainment business. So that's pretty fun.
And I wanted to divert to Pablo and just ask about I mean, I'm sorry, it sounds like I'm talking about score relief again, but I'm not really. I want to know about the ThinkSpace stuff that you mentioned. You said it was really great to work with the guys. What did you end up doing, and how far have you got with that? Have you finished it, or tell us a little bit about it?
Oh, this is like in school, the moment of how far have I studied that? It's what I took was orchestral mixing. Because I work, I'm really focused on orchestral writing, so I wanted to be able at least to know the basics of orchestral mixing. And so far it's been great. I've been doing it quite slowly because I have to combine it with the projects that I do. But it's nice to have someone there that has done that, and to be able to replicate some of their workflows even if what Philip said is totally true, you only learn it once you've done it for real. But to do to practice a little bit is also very, very reassuring in that sense. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So you would kind of, again, we're not advertising, but I mean, you would recommend ThinkSpace, your experience.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And they were super helpful in the process of actually choosing the course. They were really flexible and patient with me because I'm kind of
That's great.
And so they were really, really nice. Yeah.
That's good to hear, because I mean, they've been with us on both of the score reliefs, and they're really nice on that side when we're sort of putting score reliefs together, but then we don't always hear about what happens afterwards, so that's quite nice to hear. Yeah. I feel like we should maybe wind up, because I'm conscious of everybody's time, but Archie, do you want to fire one more question around the group and then maybe we'll wrap it up? What do you think?
Just like, what's next for you guys? Like, do you have any goals? Like, what are you working towards in your composition career? Like, is there a certain type of film or certain type of composition that you work on? Are you always going to be working on orchestral stuff, or do you produce other things? What's next? Robert,
That's a long
go
question.
for it. I know, but what's next for you guys?
That's the short version.
That's the short question. Yeah.
I guess the next big step for me is that I'm going to be applying to LAFCI, the Los Angeles Film Conducting Intensive. That's been something I've been wanting to do for a while, just to have the experience of conducting an orchestra. I think it would be helpful. And so that's my next step. Whether I get in or not, we'll see. But that's the plan.
Cool. Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck. Someone's asking whether Philip's album will be available on Spotify.
Yeah, it will be. Absolutely.
There we are. We'll try to make everybody aware of it when it's ready. So watch this space. Stay tuned to the QTube. So let's continue with Archie's question. What's next? What kind of goals are you guys working towards? Maxime?
Try to find and be lucky to have nice projects. I tend also to write for video games because Montreal is a great city for that.
Yeah.
So yes, I would say, and animated film. I think the question earlier about what is great about the animated film. I think the possible fantasy, you could find easier than in a live action, in my opinion. But I'm always between sound design and composition. So I think that would be just going on and find always interesting projects because all projects are interesting, but that's always great when you can find some and be happy about what to find. Not all projects are all interesting. Sometimes it could be a little bit dull, but mostly it's fun. So it's always this: find the good project.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good luck with that. Anybody else want to reveal what's on the horizon? Maybe some goals that you're working towards?
Do you want to go, Pablo, or should I?
Go ahead, Philip.
Yeah, okay. I'm probably going to do some more library music just to put it out to the world, and maybe get to work with some sample library developer. I don't know if that would work. Maybe some people are also generous to accept me, and maybe I can write some demos or so. That would be really cool. But of course, like going into film music a little bit more, but I'm still very, very young, so I do not have that many connections, and I want to build those further to like really get into the world of film composers, film composing, and of course the directors and so on. So yeah, maybe get some jobs there, but it's really hard, I think. So yeah, I'm doing my best to try and do that, and to learn as much about music as I can.
Great. Well, hopefully, we'll develop the QTube as a platform that brings composers and filmmakers and so on together. And again, I think that the fact that we're producing a film ourselves is another step on that journey. That it's not just a composer platform; it's also a sort of filmmaker platform as well. And I really do think that our community is an insane resource for filmmakers. It's just a question of making filmmakers aware of that. But it's just such a wonderful thing that filmmakers can come and they can go through our through your profiles on the QTube, and they can see what you guys have produced, and they can find composers to work with. So that's something we need to make happen, really, with the QTube. And we've been quite successful in building a composer community, but it's almost like having a room full of composers that are all looking for work, and they're asking each other, and it's obviously not going to happen. You need to get other people in the same room who are looking to hire composers. So that's one of the challenges, really, for the QTube. So we'll try and help you, Philip. Pablo, how about you?
Oh, so yeah, I've been working in films for 10 years now, almost actually a little more, and I've been narrowing down the kinds of projects that I take always more and more. So I would say that my main objective right now would be to maintain the situation I'm in. So where I only take things that I love and that I'm genuinely interested in, and continue in that direction without having to make any backward. Yeah.
Backwards step, yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
That's all right. Actually, we have a question from the audience. How are you guys for time?
It's fine. We have lots of time.
Archie, what about you? Because you got a family thing. How are you?
No, it's okay. It's all right. Most of the family thing happened earlier anyway. So.
Okay. So we have a question from Joshua saying, is everybody trying to pursue this as a living, or is it just a hobby? And if you're doing this for a living, do you benefit from competitions like Score Relief?
So if I live from this, yes. And actually, my partner, Sarah, who also works with me, and my 4 cats. So, yeah. Like I said before, for me, the most important thing of in such competitions, and particularly in the QTube competition, was to be able to be confronted with super quality material and work with 100% commitment that material. And that's actually, there is some interview of Bill Evans, the jazz pianist, where he said, just play the best you can always, even if you are inside of a closet. Sometimes someone will open the door. And I really think that's the only possible way to do it. Although Robert might think otherwise because, he studies marketing. So, and that's something I'm really bad at. So maybe he's better at giving some advice about that.
Well, I think you're spot on. The competition, I think it serves multiple purposes. Like, on one hand, what Pablo was saying is absolutely true. You have high quality content that you can practice with and have access to. And then on the other hand, you have this resume builder. Like, whether or not you do well in the competition doesn't really matter, because what you want to show directors at the end of the day is that you can do these things. And by having access to a film that you've done before on a composer reel, regardless of whether or not you win, you still have evidence, you have proof, you have tangible stuff that you can send to directors and be like, hey, I can do this. And I think that's a key element to why I do these competitions, because it's the people that hire me see that I do these competitions, and regardless of whether or not I win, they see that I've done something that they want to hire me for to replicate kind of that idea. And so that's the value in these competitions, is practice and marketability.
Cool, thank
for
you.
me at least.
Anybody else? We've lost Philip, I guess. Anybody else?
I do agree with what Robert just said. That's spot on. Same for Pablo, and I think like it's great for Pablo if you can narrow down just what you like and what you want and what you agent to do. I think that's great. I'm not right there. I think I try to do a lot of things. Maybe when you do a lot of things, sometimes people try to want someone who is specialized 100% into this field. So sometimes it's a force to do, like, to be able to do a lot of things, and sometimes it could be a weakness because you have someone who really specialize. I know jazz, but I know classical, but you will have someone just in jazz and is the best. So I'm not at this point. So I have so many projects that I can say I prefer this one. So I'm really happy for Pablo, and yeah, you're really right about having content, Robert, to be able to show like I did that, and and the content was indeed really good. So that's great. I think I agree with all of you that it's the main thing of this contest. The content was great, is great.
Sorry, may I add something? I didn't mean to say that the right way to do things is the way I do them.
No, I agree. I said that you were. Yeah, I'm happy for you.
But I just wanted to make the point, because maybe in the audience there is people who are exactly like you, Maxime, and I think it's rather the matter is rather if your way of doing things is aligned with yourself, and if you like being the diversity of things and changing, that's perfectly legitimate. So there is no ideal. There is an ideal for you that you should pursue, I think.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Cool. Good stuff. And are you going to take part in Score Relief next time?
Yeah, probably.
I guess.
Sorry.
I guess it depends how busy you are at the time, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, totally. And of course, I don't mean to, but it really depends on the movie for me, actually. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You put me under pressure now.
No pressure.
Yeah, of course.
You're turning the tables here.
Oh.
All right. Cool. Well, guys, you've been very generous with your time. It's been a whole hour. We could talk for hours, I reckon. We ought to get together sometime, and have a beer. And but yeah,
in one of the countries that we all,
or maybe all of the countries. We do a tour,
Or coming to Manchester.
Yeah. There are worse places than Manchester, like London, for example.
I'm leaving.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much, and good luck with all of those projects and stuff that you're working on. Feel free to reach out anytime, and if you have some exciting news, like you're releasing your album, Philip, and if the rest of you have something exciting that you want to share, I'm really happy to try to help you to share that news with the wider community. So And that's true for anybody that's watching. You know, it's not just for these guys. You know, don't have some special status. I mean, anybody in the community that wants to kind of use the QTube as a kind of platform, you know, for sharing what you're up to, then get in touch and we'll try. All right, well, there are very exciting things we've got ahead as well on the QTube. You know, we're working towards this first film production. The Kickstarter is doing really well. We're up to about 66% right now of our target, and we have another sort of 4 weeks left to go. So if there's anybody out there who's got a bit of spare change, you could do far worse than supporting that project. We have a new really cool clip coming to add to our library very, very soon as well, with some great content. But yeah, stay tuned. Thank you, guys. You know, I wish you all the best there in Atlanta, Georgia, Denmark, I'm trying to remember now, Montreal, and Lago Maggiore.
Perfect.
Hey, beautiful.
So yeah, cheers, guys. Thank you so much. Oh, one last thing. Do you have any questions for us, the QTube? Go on, put Archie on the spot. Come on, let's put Archie on the spot.
So yeah, what film do you think you will put for next year's competition then? I mean, what kind? Yeah,
it's going to be a clip taken from this short film that we're producing.
Okay, I didn't understand it before, but okay, perfect.
So the idea is that the short film is going to be approximately somewhere in the region of 12 minutes long, and we're going to take like a 1 minute scene probably from that film.
Okay.
And use that as the basis for score relief.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think the whole point of that really is that like this film that we're making and stuff is like the QTube has always been like us just editing together stuff that we've got to like provide to composers to give them something to build their show reel to when they're first starting out, and you know, have something to write to when they're first scoring to picture. But I think the QTube now wants to make a transition into making higher quality stuff for composers to practice scoring to, you know, like
as opposed to trying to sort of shoehorn something into our requirements, which wasn't really made for those requirements, with me like editing Spring, you know, which was quite challenging, down to like 3 minutes. Actually produce something specifically for you guys. So it's a very different approach, and I think it's going to make score relief really interesting this time. So.
But thank you anyway for everything you're doing for the composer community. I really appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. Any more quick questions before we go?
Yeah, I wanted to say what Pablo said as well. So thank you, Brian, for everything you've done. It's really, really great, and offering these prizes and like having the heart to get something going like this is really, really great. So thank you.
I feel emotional. Thank you, Philip.
And Archie as well, of course. I mean, I'm not knowing you as well as Brian because I didn't have a beer with you, but maybe one time.
Of course, yeah. Archie ran away to Greg's or something, right? Archie,
I think, yeah.
Anybody else? Any final? You don't have to say, "Oh, thank you, Brian. Thank you." No, I'm not. But any questions or anything? No. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Have a great evening or whatever time of day it is right now. And
thank you, guys.
Stay in
Lovely
touch.
to speak
Thanks
to
a
you.
lot. Thank
Amazing
you.
scores.
Thank you.
Take care.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much.
See you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, Brian. Bye.
Bye.
I think that went pretty well.